What's up, guys? This is Jay with Prepared Citizens, and today we're going to be going over some Minuteman stuff and considerations for you and your team. Hope this video finds you well. Today we're going to be going over medical considerations for you and your team. When you have a homestead or a compound or whatever, a large group of people definitely need to look into getting organized on the medical end of things, and you need to have a dedicated medic within your ranks. Today we're going to talk about not just team considerations, but also some considerations for the TOC, which in the Army, that's Tactical Operations Command, your home base, whatever you want to call it. So no need to get too fancy here. First and foremost, when guys are going on patrol, when guys are going out in the field, even if it's just gathering wood, right? Just say gathering some wood for the winter, things can go wrong. You need to have not just a radio plan, a comms plan. We'll talk about that in another video, but we need to have a medical plan. And on the little waterproof cards that you get with my radios, I have a 4-line medevac report that you can call over the radio. Now in the military, it was a 9-line medevac card. Why 9-line? Because we had outstanding resources, and not just outstanding, but unlimited resources, pretty much. I mean, you could literally, helicopters would come pick you up off the battlefield and things like that, and an entire team would come get you. I mean, there's vast amounts of resources. But here in the real world, out here on a homestead or something like that, if maybe all you got is 2 families that's homesteading together, you're probably not going to have all that. So no need to go through that much information, because half of it you're not going to use anyway. So for the 4-line medevac, what I use, and you can use this or modify it to your liking, line 1 is going to be number of patients and injuries. So you call that off, and then you call break. Special equipment needed for patients. You know, what might that be? Break. Line 3, location and security of pickup site. Break, and then evacuation method, on foot or a vehicle. And see, in some cases you may not even have a vehicle. So anyway, so that's how we would call in an emergency if someone on our team got injured. That's how we're calling it back to the TOC. Now, how to be prepared for this type of situation, because it's going to be chaotic, first off. And what I want to talk about today is keeping medical cards on you and your team. So first and foremost, we're going to go over, we got 2 sections here, team and TOC, and we're going to go over each one of information you need to have on hand for your team members. So first things up is a name. You need to have, each person needs to have their name on the card. Why is that important? Well, I mean, you need to know who you're treating, which is going to bring us to the next stuff, date of birth. Got to have that on there. That's going to give us an age. Especially if you have a bunch of people, you're going to want to know the age of the person. That will determine some treatments. Blood type. And then we're going to go into the nitty-gritty stuff, which is honestly the real information here. Allergies. Allergies is very important because it will determine what type of medications can and can't be administered to the patient. So always have some kind of allergy card or identifier with you. And last but not least, for the card to keep on hand, current medicines. That will also, again, determine what kind of medicines can and can't be administered, because you don't want to mix certain things. Now, when it comes into learning that stuff, that's above my pay grade. I have a nurse wife that knows far more about that type of thing than I do. So in our case, I would be the grunt or dude patrolling or whatever, going to get firewood, and she would probably be working the TOC from a medical standpoint. Alright, so moving on to the TOC side. The TOC needs to have basically all this. They need to have a sheet or a file on each individual at the homestead. And it don't matter who, they need to have all this information on everyone. It will just make life easier. So the medical staff at the talk is going to have a little bit more detailed information than what we got here. This is just what needs to go on each individual. So over the radio, when this is called, if anyone does have a question, this stuff can be answered quickly. Now, for the talk, the extra things we're going to put is surgeries. Surgeries is going to be important because it's also going to be able to tell you, again, what type of medicines can or can't be administered. So, alright, so family medical history. That's a big one. If anyone's had any past cancer, if anyone was a diabetic, and someone started seeing symptoms of maybe becoming a diabetic or something, that's going to be good to know, right? The vaccines and whatnot. Immunization history, that's really important too, because kind of self-explanatory. If they've have certain immunity to something, you may not want to give them medicine that could affect that. Right? Alright. Emergency contact. Why would you put emergency contact in a SHTF situation or whatever, a grid down situation? Well, because if it's a life-threatening something and somebody has a wife or a spouse, or maybe all they got left is a child, or, family needs to be notified. Emergency contact may not necessarily mean that someone's coming to save them per se or come to pick them up, but they definitely need the immediate family, the emergency contact, to be notified of what's going on. Next one's going to be results from physical tests and lab results. And obviously, depending on the situation, that may or may not be available. Who knows? But it will give the talk medical staff the best idea also of meds that can and can't be administered. Last but not least, any chronic conditions of a patient. All this stuff is going to be needed. So the talk will have all of this and all of this listed, whereas the team will have all of this. And also another consideration is, depending on what you're doing, you may want to think about what you do and don't want to put on these things if OPSEC is a concern. Guys, these are just some considerations to get you started and moving in the right direction and setting up a medical plan for you and your team. So guys, I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please let me know. I do a lot more in-depth training on this stuff in person, and hopefully this little tidbit may get you started on what you're wanting to do. Guys, I greatly appreciate you hanging out with me. Please consider going to the website, preparedcitizenstg.com, picking up a medical kit or pre-programmed radio. Medical and comms are the main thing that is overlooked in preparedness, and that is why I try to create a one-stop shop, and it is best suited for you and your family and team for you to go to get that stuff. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Guys, thank you again for watching. I really appreciate it. Subscribe, comment, share, do all that stuff if this video helps you at all. And remember to be an asset to everyone around you and not a liability. And I'll see you guys on the next one. God bless.